But then the next morning we got up and just kind of walked around and went to go get coffee and ended up walking around the Miami River. Saw some cool stuff with yachts and drawbridges and stuff going up.
Very neat.
Yep. Cool little coffee shop we went to there. Just kind of walked around a little bit before we got on the bikes. And then that was going to be our really easy day, going from Miami to the Keys.
We did drive the street, Miami Beach.
Yeah, we went over took a little detour to go over to South Beach and Miami Beach.
Which was cool because I just was watching part of one of the Bad Boys movies with Will Smith.
Oh, and it was there?
And it was on that road. And
yeah.
I was like, I was just there.
Yeah, I got to nerd out with all the cruise ships that were along the MacArthur Causeway there and Government Cut and see all that stuff. And then just kind of worked our way down to one, which takes a little bit of time coming out of Miami. But that was where we saw that huge crash, too.
Yes, that was some kind of, it wasn't a tanker. It was
a vac truck.
A vac truck. Okay.
Yeah, like a big vacuum truck.
I'm still not 100% sure how he did what he did.
I have no idea.
But yes, that thing was upside down. I thought for sure that someone had died. And I think it was maybe 2 days later we were talking to somebody about this. And I looked it up on the...
It was the next day because we were in the IV shop.
Yeah, I looked it up on the internet. And as it turned out, the fellow was hospitalized but did not perish. So
yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, because the first thing because it was on the other side of the highway. And that highway was like 5 lanes wide in each direction because it's in and out of Miami.
And northbound was locked up for at least 20 miles.
Oh, my God. I can't imagine because that was a Thursday morning at like 9 a.m. going into Miami.
Yep.
And we saw nothing for like the next 10, 15, 20 miles, but 4 or 5 lanes wide, backed up traffic. Those people were not getting to work until lunch.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. And it was like, and my first clue when we were going on our side was like the medians and stuff are full of palm trees and stuff. Mm-hmm. That part of Miami, you can't even really see the other side of the highway. But there was like part of a palm tree was broken off and on our side of the highway. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what's going on here? And I look over and there's a vac truck upside down and 0 traffic coming the other way because everything was shut down. And then, luckily for us, we didn't sit in that.
I mean, upside down with the cab of the vehicle totally crushed.
Yeah, just gone.
Like decimated. Yeah. No idea how he ended up doing, he broke the 180.
Yeah, for sure.
He broke the 180. Yeah. Like, holy hell.
Yeah, that was and just that traffic was absurd. So we stopped and got gas in Florida City just to make sure we made it the whole way. Grabbed a drink of water and then headed down US 1, starting at the Blue Wall and headed down through the Keys. Super cool going through there on a motorcycle. I've now gotten to Key West, I think, pretty much every way possible. I've driven in a Jeep, ridden on a motorcycle, flown there, gone there on a cruise ship, and came on the Key West Express, too. So, but our first stop was at Robbie's Marina in Isla Mirada.
Yeah.
So Rob could feed the tarpon, which he refers to as monsters of the sea.
Yeah, sea monsters.
Sea monsters.
So I have not been a big oceanic, fan. I don't know a lot about ocean creatures.
And now the more you know, it's even worse.
That's terrifying. I'm not sure most people that get in the ocean understand the level.
I don't even remember what day it was, but I said something about tarpon, and you were like, it might have even been like day 1 at Robbie's or at Howard's. And I said something about tarpon, and you're like, what's a tarpon? And I showed you a picture of, you're like, oh my God! That thing has teeth.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, they get to be like 8 feet long. You're like, oh my God. He was like, we have to stop there. So
I needed to see it. And honestly, I'm thinking to myself, like, if anything, one of these idiots feeding it are going to lose a hand. Yeah. Maybe even an arm. People are putting their babies down there to feed these monsters.
Yeah, and judging by how much you jumped, it could have been you.
That's true.
Yeah. So we fed the tarpon at Robbie's. Some people think Robbie's is cruel and weird, but it's definitely a cool tourist spot.
I thought it was cool. I mean, if you're riding or driving through there, do it. It's cool.
Yeah. It's definitely something you have to see at least once. And I've been there.
And they really are like 8 feet long.
Yeah. And some of the ones in there, because they're overfed.
And thick.
They're enormous.
Thick boys.
Yeah. You do not want to fall in there. I don't think they would do anything to you.
I mean, not right away.
But
they'd size you up and be like, "Oh no, his foot tastes just fine."
Yeah, he's not a fish. We'll leave him alone.
No, he's not a fish. We'll kill him later.
Yeah, so we'll
drag him to the bottom.
You got an opportunity to buy another shirt, which you're currently wearing.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Got some cool pictures. You Rob standing underneath the sign that says Robbie's.
Yep.
And we got some more stickers. I picked one up for my brother that says "A pelican ate my fish." Because that happened to him when we stopped at Robbie's. A pelican just stole his fish and bit him.
Supposedly, the word on the street out there was that the pelicans are more dangerous than the tarpon.
And I 100% agree with that. Like, you can... Those pelicans are sneaky. Mm-hmm. They will sneak up behind you while you're standing there holding your fish and snag it right out of your hand, and they don't care if they nick your fingers or not.
Yep.
Right. So... we left there, and then we went to Irie Island Eats, which I've heard about on the local side of Key West podcast. A bunch of times they swear by it, so we'd stop. Good food there, really cool atmosphere.
Very
you
cool.
Feel like you're in a jungle.
Yeah,
it's really just a food truck, but you feel like you're in
like
a freaking jungle.
They have like a series of food trucks, depending on what vibes you're feeling at that moment, and. Yeah, it was cool, and it was like a local market too.
Yeah, they just started that apparently, where it started this like local market where they bake a lot of that stuff there. It's all natural stuff.
Yeah,
so that was cool. That was the first time I ever got to go there. I've been looking forward to it. Ton of food. They handed me that food, and I'm like, dude, this weighs like 10 pounds.
Yes.
It was 2 tacos, but they were the biggest tacos I've ever seen in my life.
I'm trying to remember. I think mine were the mahi.
Yeah.
I think I got the mahi.
Yeah, I got the pork belly. It was freaking real good.
Yeah.
So that was good. Got some like a fruit salad as a side. It was all like tropical fruits. That was really good. Mm-hmm. And then we headed to Key West. From there, it's like an hour from Key West. 7 Mile Bridge, which is cool to go over on a motorcycle.
Definitely.
That doesn't freak me out like going over that bridge in Savannah, which was like a vertical climb, because that's for the port of Savannah. So they got to make it tall enough to get big ships through it. Mm-hmm. And they don't really care about that through the Keys.
No, see, bridges don't freak me out. It's when we went under the tunnel.
Yeah, the tunnel. I forgot to talk about that in Norfolk. Yeah. In Norfolk, we're getting ready, and Rob goes, "This is a tunnel?" I'm like, yeah, Rob.
And all I can think of is, it's water. There's water
he goes,
there.
It goes under the water? I said, well, there's no mountains here, dude. What do you think it's going under?
Yeah, that's nonsensical to me.
Yeah, so luckily for you, it's short.
Yeah, unnatural, like, just build a bridge.
Yeah. So, we did do that tunnel, and then, of course, all the 7 Mile bridges and stuff. So, of course, the first place we went to in Key West was mile marker 0. Mm-hmm. We made it the whole way down, and then so we stopped there, took our pictures, went down to the southernmost point to say we made it the whole way to the southernmost point. But as anyone who's been to Key West knows, middle of the day, because we got there probably 3 o'clock-ish, middle of the day at the southernmost point, there's a freaking line. So we were like, we'll just come back and get our pictures later on and make it so we can actually park in front of it. We can take some real pictures with our bikes and do that. So it was just Rob and I at that point. Our wives were going to show up the next day. They were flying down to meet us. My mom was coming over on the Key West Express. She was going to meet us. So Rob and I had the rest of the day and night to do our own thing in Key West, which was a good time. Usually when I go to Key West, I don't do a whole lot of drinking. This time we did.
Yeah, when I go anywhere, I try to do a lot of drinking.
So once again, the mission to get seafood in front of Rob or Rob in front of seafood. We went to Conch Republic Seafood Company.
Yep.
Which, I always think is a great spot. We sat at the bar, as any place that has the decency to have one built.
Yes. You
should do. And that's where we started, which was happy hour, which was 2 for 1, which started us off well.
Yep.
Where we I won't say solved the riddle of the bar. If you've never been there, on the bar, like right on the bar, I have it written down here. It's just a bunch of letters, and it says it's IITYWYBTBAR, and I'm like, hey, I said to our waitress, I'm like, hey, what does that stand for? And she says, she's a very nice lady. She says, well, you've been here a while. It's a riddle. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to figure it out. But if I tell you, will you buy the bartenders around? And I'm like, well, not quite yet. So let me try to figure this out for a hot minute. So she says, I tried to be sly, and the other bartender walks by, and I said, hey, what does that stand for? And she goes, well, it's a riddle. And if I tell you, will you buy the bartenders around? And I think before I had asked, like, how many bartenders are there? And they're like, well, there's 4. And, it's Key West. So I'm thinking each drink's probably $11. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. And then she goes, if I tell you, will you buy the bartenders around? And that's when I realized that those letters stood for, if I tell you, will you buy the bartenders around? So I agreed to buy the bartenders around, which they were cool about. And they only charged me for 2, and they were only $7.50. So that was cool. We had a good time there. And then I actually made a list of everywhere we went after that.
Oh, good.
And I
had to relive these moments for the first time together.
Yeah, exactly. Because and I had to do this by going, because I play this game with my brother and sister-in-laws, because Corey's in on it too. Where whenever one of us is in Key West, we take a picture of our drink in a bar, and the other people have to guess what bar it's in. So that was how I figured out everywhere we went, because I went back and looked at the pictures, and I'm like, okay, well, that's at Conch Republic, and that's
a very non-alcoholic way of leaving breadcrumbs.
It really is. It really is. Let me say that later again. So we kind of just did the rounds. Like, I wanted to get Rob up to Mallory Square. I'm such a Key West nerd, and I love showing that town to people. So being able to have Rob there and just show him around was like, it's like Christmas to me, because I've spent so much time doing it. I love that town so much, and be able to just share it with a good friend of mine, it was just awesome. So,
well, it was awesome because you're giddy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is great. I don't have to think about anything. I'm just following this guy around.
Yeah, and I'm super happy to do that. I love that. So next stop we went, and a lot of the stuff too is like, I'm going to do stuff that I don't normally do. Like, I've never had a drink at a bunch of these places. So like Sunset Pier, we stopped there. I think you bought, well, you got that horrible sunburn at that point because Rob decided, we didn't bring that up. Rob decided, since we were taking it slow going through the Keys, he didn't need to wear a jacket. So he just wore a sleeveless shirt.
And that was at Robbie's.
Yeah, not knowing that he is very close to the equator.
Yeah, as it turns out, Florida sun will kill you.
Quickly.
Yeah. I mean, it was fine until it wasn't fine. The sunburn was dramatic, but I'll say this. I picked up some elixirs while I'm down there, and I'm basically healed.
Elixirs and balms.
Yeah.
But that was where'd you buy the first UV shirt that you bought?
Some hut.
Yeah. Some hut. So, because I have 2 pictures. One is of Rob standing at Sunset Pier wearing a T-shirt. And then the next picture is Rob standing in the exact same spot wearing a long sleeve UV shirt. Mm-hmm. So we went there, had a drink at Sunset Pier so I could play the drink game.
And if anybody could fill me in on how they make these UV shirts, because they're wonderful.
Yeah.
They block the sun. You don't get hot.
Not super hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we went over to Mallory Square so we could see the performers, which Rob is now an amateur performer. You participated in some unicycle acts.
I've basically, I'm look, it's like this. I've worked Mallory Square now at least 3 nights.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know them all. You know which ones are good. You know the tumbling guy is horrible.
Tumbling man ain't good.
Tumbling man ain't good.
If you really want to piss him off, you buy some popcorn.
And you feed the pigeons. So we, of course, had obligatory mojitos from El Maison de Pepe while we were at Mallory Square.
And they were great. Mm-hmm. They were wonderful.
There are a lot of people that purport to have the best mojitos on the island. El Maison de Pepe is where they're at.
Yeah, they are by far fantastic.
Yeah, they're not cheap, but they're quite tasty. Then we went from there to, actually, I think we went to First Flight first.
Yes.
Which was the old Pan Am building.
Yeah.
We went there first because we were killing time before Mallory Square. Because performers don't start until an hour before sunset. So then we did mojitos, and then I think the next stop was World's Smallest Bar. where we met people from Pennsylvania.
Really? What? Bellefonte, Pennsylvania. We rode down here on motorcycles.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
We rode into Wall Street on a scooter, so
It's very similar. Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area, which we did shots, key lime pie shots at World's Smallest Bar with the Wilkes-Barre people.
It was multiple shots.
Yeah, it was a couple. Then we made our way to Captain Tony's. Tried to throw the quarter in the grouper's mouth, which we were not really in the condition to do.
I think we were in the perfect condition.
Yeah, well,
I believe that's probably the condition
they anticipate you being
they
in
imagine
to do that.
that the people doing it are going to be in that condition.
Right. So then I think after that is where I just went and got a huge cookie at Matheson's. And that was when I said, well, Rob, I've had my fill.
Yep.
And we headed back to the hotel. We were staying at the Kimpton Fitch Lodge, which is one of my favorite places to stay there. Great little hotel, not super expensive by Key West standards.
They got a pool.
The staff was super nice there. We got there. We asked them about motorcycle parking. And the girl that was working there was super cool. She was like, you guys are on motorcycles? She's like, my scooter's parked in one of the spots. I'll move my scooter so you can park in my spot. Park your bike in the hotel spot until another spot opens up, and then you're good to go.
Yeah.
So super cool. She was like, I want to see your bikes anyway.
Well, and that's how God intended it. If you're riding a motorcycle, you should be able to park for free.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And
because literally you can park 6 or 7 motorcycles in a spot of one car.
Yeah. And there is motorcycle parking throughout Key West.
Yeah, if you're looking for it, you'll see it everywhere.
Yeah.
And I had never looked for it before because I didn't need it. But now I see it, I'm like, oh, dude, there's parking everywhere.
Don't take a car.
Right. So we go back to the hotel. We walk back down Eaton Street, go to the hotel, and we're like, let's go smoke a cigar. So we walk back up to the waterfront, my favorite little spot where the Key West Express comes in.
Fuck, I almost forgot about this.
Yeah. So we're sitting up there smoking cigars, just chatting, and the crew of the, I think it's the Sebago 3 was like, hey, do you guys want some fried chicken?
They were just packing up.
Because, this was by like 9:30 at night. It's not like we're out until 3 in the morning. We're literally back at the hotel by like 9 o'clock.
We're old.
Yeah. So we're sitting up there on this bench, and the crew of the Sebago 3 is like, you guys want some fried chicken? We're like, yeah, sure.
It was a full box.
It was a full box of Publix fried chicken. They just handed it to us, and we just sat there like drunken idiots eating fried chicken that some stranger gave us.
And I was shirtless
in true Key West style.
There I am, shirtless. Half in the bag, smoking a cigar with a greasy
fried chicken
full of fried chickens hanging out.
It was wonderful, and that's just Key West. And then after that, we went back and went to bed. So